But I truly believe that the job should be the stepping stone for you to go out and do something that you're more passionate about. Isn't that right? So I ended up, this book, Be Your Own Boss Guide, it matches the personalities with the kinds of businesses that people can actually do. So the innate skills and the personality. So the amiable personality, you want to be working with somebody, right, on a regular basis. So people who are in retail, you know, the bookstore people, all of them have little rounded noses. Those are people who are typically amiable and they like working with people. There are so many ways to tie in the things that you're passionate about with the things that can earn you an income that will give you that stability where I truly believe that no job will ever give you. And we're so busy surviving in our life that we never live our life. We miss the opportunities to actually have the lessons that are presented to us on a daily basis. Right? You get up at 5 in the morning and you're on the road and you get to the office and you work all day and then you finally leave and you come home and by the time you finish with dinner and cleaning up, it's time to go to bed. And did you know that in the Bay Area, 65% of our children under 12 years old never see their parents during the week? I mean, that is shocking to me. Children are being raised by someone else other than their parents. And then on the weekends, the parents have so much to do, they don't have like the, you know, the really good connection that they need to have. In Contra Costa County, Danville specifically, has the highest teenage suicide of any city in our country. How could a teenager decide it's better to take their life than to live it? Because they have no heartfelt connection. All of these things accumulate into having dysfunctional lives. And it's not that parents intentionally do that. But you remember when Blackhawk, how many of you remember when Blackhawk was being built and people were going, you know, and racing to live out in Blackhawk? They literally would move into these houses they couldn't afford and would have sheets on the windows and no furniture in the house so that they could say they lived in Blackhawk.
That's where all the sports people live, right?
A lot of them do now, but originally it was like, you know, the A, B level executives. You don't happen to have a cough drop, do you? So there are so many things that we're exposed to. You were so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Where's the horn? Ricola. I'm supposed to hear the horn after you say that, right? There are so many things that we're exposed to in our lives, and it's impossible to become adults and actually grow up and not have things that pull us off of center. So Stanford did this study that they released. I met the people who did this study, and they, let me see, it was 1991 that I met them. So they had followed 2,000 children for 20 years. And they found that 98% of everyone born, despite ethnicity, income levels, where they lived, that 98% were born with a genius capacity. Diminishes 25% every 5 years until at 21, 2% are left. Isn't that shocking? Our environment, our families, our teachers, the media, our friends steal from us that genius capacity. And it's absolutely incredible. So we have the ability to restore that genius level. How many of you have things that you've always wanted to do in your life that you just haven't gotten around to? Yeah? So Ivan, what have you always wanted to do?
No, I lowered my hand because I'm doing it.
Bob, what is it that you've always wanted to do that you haven't done?
I think be an author.
An author?
Yeah.
Perfect. Did you know that there's over 150,000 books published every year just in the United States? Do you know that only 1% ever sell more than 5,000 books for their lifetime? Did you know that it's really simple for an author to make 100,000 a year, working 20 hours a week? Right, so for people to have a job they don't like, that they barely get by, when all they need to do is look up and see what else can they do, isn't that pretty amazing? So who needs to give us permission? Exactly. When I was speaking in Alpha Kappa Psi, which is the pre-law fraternity, I had this young man come up to me afterwards, and he was just choking back, not wanting to break down in tears. And he said, I want to thank you for giving me permission to do what I really want to do with my life. Both of his parents were attorneys, and he wanted to be a coach. And I said, imagine, let's fast forward 20 years. And you look back at 20 years of being an attorney at a job you don't like, but you do it to please your parents. What kind of life is that? And you know, it happens so often. Parents want more for their children than they have, right? You always want your kids to do better. But it's really up to each individual person to choose. But sometimes, have you ever thought, I just don't know what to do? I don't know where to begin? Has anybody ever thought that? There's always somebody out there who does know. There's coaches, there's management consultants. You know, what I did, I kept reading books. And then in '91, I hired a management consultant. And I blew through management consultants every 2 or 3 years. I had one management consultant tell me that I was like a windmill. And I said, is that bad? And I didn't know what it was like to be a windmill, or to have someone think that I was a windmill. And he said, you're moving so fast that you can't get any traction. And I said, but your perspective is that I should build this enormous business that I have no control over, and that I have to lose sleep because I have no control over it. What I want is to know what I'm doing every day and to look forward to it every day. So for 20 years, that worked for me. But then 2 years ago, I was kind of like, I just woke up one day and I told Ruby, I said, I'm gonna shut my business down. I'm gonna concentrate on being an author and speaking. I wrote 2 books this year. I think that's cool. So now I have 10 books published. I love the idea of being able to encourage other people to live their life on purpose, right? It's like city slickers, right? This is your do-over. We're in December, and I always think of January as a time when you can actually do anything you want. You just wipe the slate clean. 2012 is done. Let's see what we can do with 2013. And it is amazing how you can change your life in 30 days. It's not that hard, but it takes initiative, it takes discipline. So I wanted to work with a couple of people tonight, so I'm gonna ask for a volunteer. And what I'm gonna do is not evasive at all, right? It's a simple process that I created. How many of you know that we have 12 strands of DNA?
Is that 24?
We have 12 strands of DNA. We're born